Now, NDE Radio, a weekly exploration of near-death experiences and similar encounters with the other side. Now, here's your host, Lee Witting.
Welcome to NDE Radio with Lee Witting, whether you're listening on TalkZone, by podcast, through the archives of our ad-free shows on our YouTube channel, or by connecting through our Facebook page. When I interviewed the show's guest, Tina Angeli, back in 2014, she was working on a book about her 3 NDEs and how they had influenced her life, including her work with the dying and the building of a Labyrinth, the largest in the state of Connecticut. As a chaplain, I worked with hospice patients as well, and also had built a much smaller brick labyrinth at my church, so I found myself thinking about hearing Tina's story again, and I thought you'd enjoy it as well. Tina was born in Calabria, Italy, and at 2 years old, she began getting messages from the other side. A beautiful lady came to me, Tina says. She had no wings and was veiled with dark, wavy hair. This happened right after my 1-year-old sister died. I was too young to understand what this vision meant, but it's something you never forget. When Tina was 12, her father moved the family to America, but at 16, she returned to Italy where she was married. Later, she returned and settled in Connecticut where she raised her 2 daughters and earned a degree in architectural drafting. It was in 2005 that Tina had a vision that inspired her to build a labyrinth in Granby, Connecticut, that would bring people in search of healing and peace. Now here's Tina to tell you about 3 of her spiritually transformative experiences.
I was born in Italy in a small town, and I was only 2 years old when I first saw what I perceived to be my beautiful lady. Every evening, just like magic, she would appear and float around in our meager one-room apartment. I felt protected and nurtured, and she always stayed with me until I peacefully fell asleep. These visits lasted until I was about 8 years old. It wasn't until many years later that I asked Spirit, could this experience have been an NDE? I received a firm yes in my solar plexus. It was a spiritual rescue mission. My special visitor appeared when my parents were engulfed in immense grief after their 1-year-old daughter, Teresa, died of a childhood disease. This crisis drove my parents to abandon me emotionally, and I became the invisible child. Fast forward, I got married, and I had 2 daughters. And in my 20s, my family went swimming at a pond with a friend on a hot summer day. As the kids swam and played, I kept my eyes on them. Since I never learned to swim, I carefully went in the water only up to my knees. I tripped on something. I lost my balance, and I could not get up. The hardest I tried, the deeper I went. Suddenly, I felt a snap, and a protective bubble of soft light totally saturated me, and I felt no pain. And I saw and felt a line of pictures above my head. They looked like a floating slideshow without the projector. I was having what I later learned was called a life review. I felt intense clarity as I saw other possibilities for my life. I found myself examining other lifetimes of abuse from my husband, and I saw new ways to change the experience, break the cycle of abuse. I was amazed by my reactions to the slideshow. I was saturated by knowledge, power, and insight, and total acceptance. I felt my body pulled, and I realized that it was my friends pulling me out of the water. Having gained total clarity of my strength and options, I proceeded to divorce my husband, not just for my health, but also for my children's sake.
Yes.
Through the years, Spirit, with all its helpers, often checked in, gently nudging me to begin my work. It felt more like I was being hit on my head with a spiritual 2x4. And it is an interesting feeling, I have to say. About 20 years ago, on a dark spring evening, I saw a huge luminous being of bright light over my garage barn. Telepathically, I heard, "My name is Naomi. I was the one who visited you as a child in Italy. I am your personal angel. You and I have been together since before Earth time. Allow yourself to simply be utilized as an instrument. The energy comes through you, not from you, dear. Just trust, and we will do the rest. I graciously accepted my gift, and I finally committed to my spiritual work.
Right. As a child, did you ever talk to a priest or a nun about your visions?
No. I just felt like I didn't. Once I asked, I didn't want to deal with this, that everything went away. So I felt okay. And it was like instinctively, it felt like I knew that I could not talk to anybody about this.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Okay, why don't you go on with your with your story? Okay.
My third near-death experience, I call it the miracle car crash, which happened on January 5th, 2012, which, interestingly enough, it's also my youngest daughter's birthday. It was about 6:10 p.m. as I drove from my home going toward my office. Suddenly, I felt my car get hit and spin around. I later learned that a truck crashed my car. I found myself crushed by the caved-in driver's door and partially pinned between the airbags, the steering wheel, and the passenger seat while still tied to my seatbelt. Both the side bags and the one in front of the steering wheel were exploded on impact, and an awful odor filled the car, which made my breathing extremely difficult. As the car continued to spin at a super high speed instantly, I felt my consciousness going into a very slow motion. Everything became flat, more vivid and transparent, like a holographic imagery. My breathing stopped, and I felt my soul spin out of my body. I found myself in the middle of a suspended room, and I was having a telepathic conversation with a light being who was in the middle of a group of similar beings. And there were 9 of them. 9 of them. I actually found myself counting them. I knew these beings were not of this world. I sensed that they were important in the decision-maker spiritual arm. I said, I can't leave now. I'm not finished. I have more important things to do on the earth in this lifetime. And I also felt, and I'm getting emotional now, but I also felt a very active and protective energy around me. I could also hear and see all of what was going on outside of my car below. Within that level of dimension, everything was happening simultaneously, and it was perfectly clear and fearless with no judgment. I felt protected by a very familiar, loving, and soft, warm bubble, with no feelings of any pain whatsoever, just acceptance. In this space, I also saw my 2 previous NDEs. Don't ask me how I saw them or felt them, but I knew of them. It was like my whole life was there. Suddenly, the car came to a complete stop by the other side of the main road, and instantly and clearly I felt, okay. Back in the car, I saw a woman and a man quickly running toward my car. They were the same people I saw from above. They kindly asked me if I was all right. I was able to slowly say I'm not sure, although I felt like I was in a trash compactor. I was not having any physical pain. The CAT scan at St. Francis Hospital in Hereford showed I had no broken bones, only lots of bruising. Now, as I was healing, a few months later, I was guided to find an hypnotist to help me recall more details of this incident, during which I clearly saw my soul leave my body and go straight up to a room with no walls. Very, very bright light all around illuminated the entire area. Behind the table were 9 beings of light. These beings did not have human shape, but were pure light energy. To enhance their form, they wore dark capes that formed a human silhouette around their bodies. I felt that this shape was created for my benefit. I just felt that. The love that emanated from them, particularly the one in the center, was pure and powerful. His wisdom was beyond human words, and I felt honored and humbled to be in their presence. Sorry, the energy is spinning in my body. With no physical words spoken, the message given was proceed, continue. You will be affecting many lives by your messages. There's no reason for you to feel bashful, to feel shy, or to be concerned with what other people think of your messages. Just continue to trust. It's a process. Your healing will affect others' healing. We're talking about emotional healing here. Just proceed. Continue. This was repetitive. It's not about what other people think. It's about you speaking the truth. You're always loved unconditionally. Never, ever forget it. Trust your gut feelings always. Enjoy every breath that you take. Enjoy life. It is precious, and know that you are loved always. Since the accident, my perception of life has changed. For one, materialistic pursuits are meaningless in the grand plan. I know that. I have noticed that my sleep state dreams are more vivid, clear, and more intense than ever. Additionally, which is a biggie for me, my shyness, which I have dealt with all my life, has completely disappeared. This intense and life-changing experience reaffirmed that life does not begin with birth, nor ends with death. Consciousness continues on. Yes, there is an afterlife. There's no question about that. My NDE trilogy took me to a full circle, a full realization that there is a divine plan, and I do have an important role to play in it. And when my contract on the earth expires, I trust that the same God that has guided me so far will take my soul back home. In the meantime, I am still in the process of discovery, and I graciously continue to enjoy every breath that I take.
You had mentioned briefly when you talked about your abusive husband that abuse had continued from previous lives. Do you suppose we continue in the same roles from life to life? And why would we do that? Once we'd experienced abuse from a person, why would we submit to it again?
Well, when we write when we go back to the source, we write what's called, for lack of better words, it's a contract that we write ourselves. And apparently what was written between my husband and I was that we were both going to volunteer to come back and redo this in a different way, so I could get out of it, because before I was dead, I could get out of the marriage, and also it's been a lesson for my two daughters not to realize that a man is not supposed to treat a woman like that.
Of course.
Everything is done by experience. The earth experience is all about experience. It's not about what somebody tells you. It's about experiencing it yourself.
Right. But the drowning took place, the near-death experience took place in order to show you that you could get out of that relationship. Is that something that the near-death experience itself was something that you'd agreed to before you were born?
It must have been, because I was, because we come on the earth with the veil of consciousness, and sometimes it gets pretty thick, and we think that we're victims and all this other things. But that the drowning part of my NDE was that it gave me the clarity. I came back with that clarity, the strength that I knew I needed to continue and just get out of that abusive marriage. And there were lots of threats and all that kind of stuff, drama.
Of course. Life is drama, frequently.
Yes.
It's interesting that you recalled your guardian angel up until about the age of 8, because a lot of children seem to have invisible friends, what adults call invisible friends, until about that age, and then we seem to lose the ability to contact the other side so easily. But you maintained that ability. Why do you suppose that is?
It was interesting because at the age of 8, and I learned this just recently, at the age of 8 is when the ego sets in. So as the ego set in, I must have been thinking about, I don't want to be different. I don't want to see things that other people don't see. And so therefore I asked for not to, I didn't want to deal with that. And so they honored that wish. until,
Yes.
about 20 years ago when I saw the thing. Of course, I have to say that when I used to see her as a child, she did not have wings. She had this veil-like outfit. She was just floating. Sometimes she would play peekaboo with me. She's floating around the room until I peacefully fell asleep. And I remember so clearly the soles of her feet. I remember it as if it happened just yesterday. Yeah, it was wonderful.
That's an interesting thing to remember.
Yeah, the soles of somebody's feet. Right?
Now, to jump ahead to the 9 luminous figures that you saw in your NDE,
yes.
Would you call them angels? Would you call them a manifestation of God? How do you think of them in your own mind?
While I was there, it felt, for some reason, it just felt like I knew that the one in the middle was the one that made the decision. I'm not sure if it was God or who it was, but definitely they were highly developed masters, I would say, for lack of a better word again. Masters that, and then the 9, apparently the number 9 is supposed to be important, but don't ask me why, but the 9 of them. But I felt like the 8 were holding me in this incredible, I was like in a bed of feathers all wrapped up. So I loved being there, but I still don't know why I was so passionate about saying, no, I'm not ready to go. I have so many other things to do still here on the earth. And the information continues to be given to me slowly. Like one of the things that is very important for me to do is finish my book. I started a book years ago, and my granddaughter gave me the title, and and it's not done yet. But apparently, this book is going to be very, very pivotal for my, continued healing process, emotional healing, and also those that will be drawn to reading the book will also get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm. So you think of those 9 figures, especially the one in the middle, as when you say masters, you mean like teachers. They were there to give you guidance. High teachers. I don't know if they were archangels or angels, but I know that the capes that they were wearing was just to enhance their form. It was, and I knew instinctively that form was created for me, just so I wouldn't see 9 blobs. You know what I mean? Well, I wonder if without those capes, whether it might all have merged into one light. When people talk about going into the lights, they just see this brilliant light.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. But apparently, I was to see it in that way because these nine beings are constantly, nudging me. And I know that they're there. And I also know that part of this book that I'm writing is going to be channeled material. Information is going to be given to me to place in the book.
Yes. Well, 9 is the number of completion, so it is a symbolic number and a powerful number. Are you anticipating reincarnation after you die, or do you think this is the life that will complete your learning on the earth?
I'm hoping that it will be complete.
Have you had thoughts about that?
I don't know if I want to come back again, but of course, as clarity becomes incredible once we cross over, that's when we make the decision. I don't know as of now. All I know is that I'm being drawn to doing a lot in this lifetime. Sometimes when I think back and all the things that I do, it's like, oh my goodness, where does all this energy come from? Yes.
Now, you also do hospice work, don't you?
I have done hospice work, yes. They haven't called me there for a while at McLean Convalescent Home. But, yes, I have done that. And that was, again, I was doing a journal with my guys because once I accepted this, after I saw her over my garage, I was always asking, what else do I need to do for my spiritual journey? And one of the things that came through was get involved with the dying. And I said, well, why would I want to do that? And I'm talking to dead people all the time. And so then a few days later, I saw in the local paper this ad. It was like a quarter-of-a-page ad that said that volunteers needed for a 6-week training. And I said, okay, I got it. And so I called, and I became, I went through the training, which was very, very helpful. It was 6 weeks, and it helped me. The training helped me when my parents were as they were dying a few years apart from each other. It helped me to deal with that a lot better. And, of course, they assigned me people to see on a regular basis. And one thing that I remember so vividly, a lot of them, what would happen is that after they passed on, they would come and visit me to thank me. Even before the nurses would call me and tell me not to show up anymore, because that person had died. That was such an incredible feeling to be, to be thanked. I think it's one thing for some hospice nurses, that's their job, that's what they do. But apparently the volunteers there's a special gratitude for us because it's not something that we get paid to do. It's volunteer, right? And so
yes.
They would come, they would just float in and thank me and then proceed to the light, I guess. So it was, of course, I could not tell that to the nurses when they would call, but I already knew because I was thinking that maybe they would not call me again, but that's okay. I don't have to share everything with everybody when it doesn't feel right.
No. But isn't it a wonderful thing to be thanked by someone who's just recently passed on? As a chaplain, that's happened to me on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, it's priceless. It's the kind of gift that no money could possibly pay for. And both my parents came to me after they passed on, so it was very powerful stuff.
Hospice does such wonderful work, and I really do believe that they should be better informed about NDEs. Of course, a lot of hospice workers themselves have heard stories from their patients about someone who is a family member who's deceased who's come to tell them that they're going to take them home soon. That sort of thing happens all the time, but it doesn't become a part of the
training.
The hospice training, which would be such a wonderful thing for the patients themselves to know that people have already been over there and seen the other side and can come back and report to them that it's a wonderful thing.
On a positive note, I have to share with you that the NDE group at Yukon Health Center in Farmington, Connecticut.
Yes.
Sometimes nurses do come and partake in what's going on. So there's a possibility. I hope that it will be part of the training as nurses to do that.
Well, IANDS has put together a medical film. Perhaps you saw it when you were at the IANDS conference of doctors who are, and it's for doctors, telling them that doctors should not belittle or tell patients that they've had a hallucination or a dream if they report having had a near-death experience. We have to start incorporating that into the regular medical profession.
It's still kind of slow, I believe, but Dr. Bruce Grayson is the one that started the group, pulled some strings and was able to give us a room so we could have a support group going on, and that's been going on for more than 20 years.
Yes, he's been a powerful influence in the near-death experience explorations. Well, tell us a little about your soul group.
Well, I'm just, I use it, it's my property. I have a Labyrinth there, which I do lots of events. It's the biggest private one in Connecticut, and I do concerts. I'll do all kinds of things as I get drawn to. In the office itself, I have a monthly meditation group, but I also see clients one-on-one. And it's just incredibly powerful. When I took early retirement from the state of Connecticut, and I knew that my work was this. I needed to start a group, and when the door opens, people will come, that kind of thing. And that's exactly what's been going on for almost September will be 11 years since I started this group. And I do meditation. I channel. Sometimes I will have guest speakers to come and share. But it's more, the circle is more in a form of like teaching. I encourage people. Spirit encourages people to share if they get something, because there are dynamics when people come together. When two or more people come together, a miracle happens. I encourage them to share what comes through them for other people. And I hear feedback from them all the time, how they state that, my goodness, my life has changed so much since I come to your group. Tina, thank you. And so to see the growth in people that come, it's I'm full of gratitude for that.
How could listeners get in touch with you to learn more about that and your work, and perhaps get some counseling from you?
Well, I don't call it counseling, but it's messages that come from Spirit. I just utilize myself as an instrument, as I said. But are you flashing the website or not?
Well, this is just radio, so we can put it on the website later. But why don't you just tell us now what your website is? It's long. My website is long. But if you Google Tina Angeli Soul Center in Granby, Connecticut, that will come up. And also my phone number is 860-653-3612. All right, that's great. Because we were interrupted, I'm not sure how much time we've got left. But are there any other things you'd like to add to your very fascinating story about your experiences?
Well, I'm just so grateful to have had this opportunity. I just want people to know that the hospitals are getting more open. Like, for example, Saturday afternoon, I was asked to speak for a group of nurses. There were 80 guests there, and they wanted to hear about the near-death experience. They also wanted me to channel to the group. But this was at St. Francis Hospital, and it was nurses that were doing a fundraiser for people, for people that have no money that they do want to be nurses. So, and this is St. Francis Hospital is a Catholic hospital, so I was so grateful to be able to see that, it doesn't matter what religion, but even the churches are getting a little bit more open to people like us that are able to get information from Spirit. And I believe that the TV stations, all those people that do it on a bigger scale, it helps people feel more comfortable with the idea of mediums and psychics and all that. And it's important to always pass everything through your gut. The gut says it all. So if you get some information, run it through your gut and see how it feels for you, because that's your filter, and it's important to utilize that.
Well, that's right. And the more you've had contact with the other side, as you have, the more you feel you can trust your own gut, because they've told you can. Some people I think who've not had that experience are perhaps a little more timid about trusting their own judgment in these things.
But it's all about practice. It's all about practice.
Yes, that's right. When
you use yourself as an instrument, you are practicing being comfortable with the messages, and also Spirit gets more comfortable with you as an instrument. So it is a two-way street.
My thanks once again to Tina Angeli for sharing her story with us at NDE Radio, and thanks to all of you for listening. If you'd like to hear this show again, or any of our more than 500 archived, ad-free NDE interviews, go to TalkZone's NDE Radio site and hit the Past Shows button, or go to our YouTube channel, NDE Radio with Lee Witting, where you can subscribe to and comment on the complete NDE Radio library. And listen next Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern at TalkZone, for more NDE Radio. I'm your host, Lee Witting, saying once again, thanks for listening.